This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time! Presenting the champion of the world, Hell! Wham Bam Ben Amino!
Yo, it's your boy Wham Bam, and it's another Wham Bam Wednesday, the show about ordinary people who've done extraordinary things. And today we got a couple guys here that are nothing but ordinary people. And you know what? They're doing extraordinary stuff. And I'm looking forward to talking about that. But before we go there, I'm asking you first, as always, the show's free. All we ask you to do is please subscribe. Subscribe right there at our YouTube channel. Make sure you click the little alert button down there on the right bottom corner so you can get all the alerts when we put out new material. Like it, share it, give it to somebody. But most importantly, I want you to listen and love it, okay? So let's get into the show. And today, again, we're going a little bit business model. We're going business. We're talking about two guys that opened up their own. It's not a personal training facility. It's not a gym. It's the ultimate place where you can actually grow as an athlete, both professional athletes or younger athletes if you want to become professional. They have a whole new way of doing things. The name is Peak Kinetic, and they're right out of Tennessee. And they're here today in the studio. I want to welcome you to both Gannon and John. Thank you guys for being here. Two brothers.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us.
First of all, who's the older brother, man?
That would be me.
That's
30
you?
years old.
30 years old.
Yeah.
See the baby, Gannon?
Yep, the baby of the fam.
Baby of the family.
Youngest of 6.
Yeah. So what is it like working together as family first?
Well, you know, a lot of people actually ask about that. They're like, how do you do that? Like, I can't even eat dinner with my brother. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. What people don't understand is we pretty much stayed in the same bedroom for
Oh, we shared a bedroom
20 years.
for-
I mean,
basically
basically 20 years.
21
yeah.
years old, and I was 18, and we were still
Bunking
bunkmates.
up,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can live with somebody,
Yeah.
you know, you've been through about everything you can fight about.
I
Right.
was about to say, I think we got all of our fist fights and everything out. It took about 15 years.
Yeah.
But once we hit past the age of 15, those were kind of out the
You
window.
know the
and-
tipping points.
Yeah, we know when to kind of pull off or, whatever it is. So.
Gotcha. Well, tell us about Peak Kinetic. What is Peak Kinetic? What does it mean? And tell us about what makes your business different and unique from other ones that are out there.
Yeah, so I mean, Peak Kinetic is, basically kind of how it sounds. I know sometimes that can be like, what does that even mean? Peak, at the top, the highest level. Kinetic, it's another verbiage for movement, and then performance. So it's how you perform. So we want you to be at your highest level while moving and performing. So a big thing that we do that is kind of different is, and Gannon can add to the assessment process, is that we do small group training. So that's going to range with athletes 5 to even 20, depending on how many coaches we have on staff for that day. But it's small group training, but it's still very specific to the athlete itself. So we're able to do that kind of through the assessment process, and that's going to be the first thing that you're going to do when you come in. So I'll kind of let Gannon go into detail about what the assessment process.
Tell me about assessment. When we talking about assessment for, is it females, males, is it anybody, kids?
Yep. So pretty much any athlete that comes in, what we do is first, we talk to them, what's your sport, what's your goals, right? We take in that information and then we look at, okay, where are you at now for what's your goals, where you want to be, right? And it's pretty humbling. We are very brutally honest at the facility. It's like, if you need to put on 40 pounds, we're going to tell you need to put on 40 pounds, right? You got to pass the eye test, right? You got to check some boxes. Clearly there's just outliers in sports, but for the majority, let's take our college baseball athletes, you need to be around 6 foot range. You need to be around 200 pounds. You need to be throwing close to 90 miles per hour. That's just is what it is.
That's statistics.
Yeah.
That's
So
what it is.
just kind of like baseline, like general, you need to be somewhere around these, right? So we take that in consideration. We look where they're at now, right? We do height, weight, body fat percentage, muscle mass, right? See if we can make any really just easy adjustments to where they're at now from a physique standpoint, right? Swap some muscle for fat, of course. And then we actually get them on the table and we do our full-blown movement assessment. So the movement assessment, we look at passive and active ranges of motion. We do have ideal numbers we want to see based off their sport. Clearly, an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman probably not going to have quite the mobility a pitcher has, right? So we take that in consideration. But if there's any glaring underlying movement, like inefficiencies, like we're going to attack those head on.
So ultimately, you have different genres of sports, different things. So a baseball player is gonna incorporate something totally different, their workout with you guys, than
would say,
a football player.
Totally different, not always the case, because there's generals across the board, right? Getting stronger. That's going to help a lot of people. It's going to raise all the sales, initially. But we do definitely take in consideration their position in their sport, right? So clearly, the rotational capabilities of a pitcher is going to differ from the rotational capabilities of an offensive lineman who doesn't need to get turned, right? Right? So we're going to train a little bit different there, okay? So taking that consideration. Then, of course, we look at the age aspect, look at training years. So it's very highly detail-oriented to that specific athlete. We also do a performance testing, and this is where things have kind of changed a little bit. How do you explain a guy who comes in, tells me they squat 450 pounds, they bench 300 pounds, and clean 275? But then we do their 10-yard laser time, and they run a 1.8 flat. For those who don't know, that's not very fast, right? How do you explain that, right? So this guy probably needs to focus a little more on the speed velocity side of things, not as much as strength being just the focus at this point. So we do individual profiles for each athlete that comes in, right? So it's like, take the kids. Yeah, a lot of kids who do come in that are younger need to get stronger. But you give me an already trained guy who's still not getting results from actual performance, jumping higher, running faster, changing direction better. That's typically either an underlying movement aspect or they're not getting the proper type of training. Right?
Wow, that's pretty deep, man.
Yes.
John, when you look at your staff and stuff, and you look at the personnel that's coming in, obviously each person's different. Now I know you have a lot of professional athletes that train there, correct?
Correct.
And what would you like? Do you provide them a different type of trainer because they're professionals, or what makes it different?
Yeah, so we're still relatively young. We started actually during COVID, so about going on 3 years now.
Let's talk about that real quick because I think that's great. I understand the story because I know, Gannon, you were a school teacher, right?
Yeah.
School teacher in Georgia, in fact,
yes,
and
sir.
Coach stuff, and you kind of retired, I'll say, and said, "Hey, I'm moving on to start this dream." This was something that you were, talking about for years. I guess the 2 years together kind of, said, "Hey, let's do this," and this was something you wanted to do differently than everything else. So, in the process, how did that work out for you? What made you, okay, it's time to take this leap of faith and let's do this? COVID hit and boom.
Yeah, for sure. So we were in the middle of COVID. This is when everything was shut down. You could pretty much, very, very little travel. Gannon had come up. He was living in an apartment at the time. We had a house. He had come up just to visit. I think it was my wife's birthday, actually. So they were coming up for a party. And we had always kind of thrown around the idea, even when we're like 19 months apart. So even from 15 years old, we're like, man, we'd love to do something like that. And then we came across an app software called Train Heroic, which we still use, that basically lets you supply programs to athletes, general population, whatever it is. And we were just kind of throwing around some ideas, and we're like, well, man, we're not doing anything right now. We're stuck at home. Like, people still want to work out. They still want to be healthy. They still want to be able to move. A lot of people don't even know what they're doing.
Right.
Like, especially at home, because we had to get creative, whether it was lifting gallon water drums or using a towel for like some type of pull-up or something like that. So we're like, well, let's just start this thing. Best way to get better at something or to really get going is by just starting. So we just kind of started small there, and then we noticed after a year or so, like, it was growing. And we always said, hey, if we could get to the point where our online sales covers the fixed cost of a facility, like, we'll make the leap. And we were kind of teetering on it, and then, we came across a really good opportunity at a place I was training MMA at called Agogi, and saw kind of an opportunity there at a place we called home. Gannon was still in Alpharetta at the time, coaching, teaching, enjoying life, but definitely this was becoming real on the PKP side. So I was like, Gannon, like, this opportunity's come up. I know we can't fail. Like, if we just do it and we bust our ass on it, like, I know we won't fail. So Gannon, he picked up come December, quit teaching, quit coaching. Him and his wife actually moved in with us because they didn't
back
have
in the
nothing
same
right
bedroom.
Yeah,
you grew up in.
not quite the same bedroom.
Sleeping together again.
So we actually share.
Across the hallway.
There you go, across the hallway.
So we just started there, and then Chattanooga was a market that we knew that was kind of untapped for what we had, just because we grew up here, we're athletes here, and then we get some pretty high end athletes that come through here from Gannon's connections down in Atlanta, and then it just kind of starts popping off. I mean, it's actually pretty remarkable. Within probably 4 months. We're training Cole Strange, who ends up getting drafted in the first round of the Patriots. That's one of our first athletes.
Right.
Yeah.
What was that like? I mean, you're a football guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What was it like? Because I knew you were coaching there when you
Yeah.
were teaching, and that was something you're always passionate about. What was it like when, you're like, man, I trained and worked with this guy,
Yeah.
and now here he is drafted, and you know what? We have something to do with it.
Yeah, for sure. Coaching high school offensive line, we kind of discussed earlier. You know, it's not always the cream of the crop you get right off the rip, right? But you learn to pour into guys, and you really learn to just build that connection. And I mean, offensive linemen, those are the best guys to take the field. I mean, funny, humble. It's a fun group.
It's weird, isn't it? That because the high school level, obviously,
Yeah.
the big kids are always the linemen. They
Yeah,
want the
for
big
sure.
kid.
Yeah.
He's the big kid. We're gonna make him a lineman.
Yes.
It's not always the fastest, the strongest, the prettiest. He's just a big kid.
Yeah,
You
he's
know,
a
type
big
of
kid,
thing.
right? Give him a
Right.
chance on the line.
Yeah, but you got to help develop him to have some movement.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I played offensive and defensive line. Played center in college, D2 school, right? Vertically challenged over here, so we know how that one goes. But so I love offensive line play. I played offensive line since I was literally 6 years old, and through I was like, I want to be an offensive lineman.
Wow,
And
that was a dream?
Yeah, and nobody wants to be an
Who was your favorite
lineman.
offensive lineman?
Oh man,
Like, who was your idol?
I know this is gonna
Bob
sound
Lilly?
weird.
Maybe Bob Lilly from the Cowboys?
I used to love watching DeBrickashaw Ferguson.
Oh, yeah?
I know that's so funny, but yeah, I loved
Jets
watching.
guy?
He played, yeah. Jets guy played offensive guard. Loved watching him. I don't know why.
I don't know too many kids that go out there and say, I want to be the guard, the left guard.
I want to be
of the
DeBrickashaw
Jets."
Ferguson. Yeah,
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome.
I just always loved offensive linemen. So we trained Torres Finney, who's a potential UFC guy, and he played at.
Oh yeah, he was on our podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
He said actually he gave you guys a big kudos and
Yeah.
stuff. That's why I got it connected, with you guys as well, because
Yeah.
he mentioned how you really helped develop him. Where he just won the contender, right?
Yes,
yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so coming off that win, but he played football at UT Chattanooga, and him and Cole were workout partners, right?
Uh-huh.
And so Finney actually got us in contact with Cole. Cole comes in, and let me tell you, Cole Strange is the most humble, hard-nosed, gritty guy you will ever meet. Like, great guy. We loved, and we hit it off from the rip. I mean, and then, it's like his agent calls us like, hey, get this guy ready, whatever it takes. So me and Cole were spending 3 and 4 hours a day, every day. Like, me personally
Right.
training him one-on-one. All morning we would lift, do speed agility work. And then, with my background in offensive line play, we would go down to UTC's practice field.
Mm-hmm.
We'd do his conditioning, and then we'd do offensive line work as well. So, we catered the program very specific to, what it was that he needed to get ready for camp, and, came in his rookie year and had a great rookie season. So, and to develop that relationship and just see like, wow, like this guy's a first rounder. You wouldn't know it. He's like the most genuine guy. Just, it was a really cool experience. We got Barstool posted our article. We got our article posted by Barstool like 6 months in, which was like, why?
Well, listen, you guys done a lot in just two years, right?
Yes.
Think about how far you've grown. You've already outgrown your facility, right, John?
Yeah, for the third time.
For the third time. So
Yeah,
you've
for
already
the third
increased, 3 times. So the speed of that's got to be a little bit overwhelming and also exciting too. What's it like getting help? Because as you're growing, obviously you need more personnel, you need more people, you need more trainers. And I know quality in your industry is very important.
It is.
Especially when you cater to a higher end type of athlete and your clientele base, because they're not paying to work out. They're not paying for, the CrossFit and the gym membership. They're paying for, a scientific analysis and to help themselves improve in certain levels that's going to help them, get to where they want to go. I mean, am I right?
No, 100%. I mean, when an athlete comes in, it's not just a membership, like you're saying, like a Planet Fitness or something like that. I mean, it is a true investment into their future. So when they come into it, we take it very serious. So hiring it can be difficult, because one of the things about us, like, yes, we're scientific based, like we're going to get you better. But one of the biggest things that our athletes love is that you can come in, and I don't care if you're Torres, Finney, like you're going to get roasted. Like we still have a very much team kind of like locker room feel, like you're going to come in, like you're going to cut up, you're going to have a good time, you're going to get better. But I mean, we have to almost push people out the door to leave at night just because they enjoy it so much, and we love that.
Right.
So not only do you have to know what you're talking about on that side, but you have to also be kind of fit the mold and kind of fit the culture of what we've provided. So it can be difficult, but I mean, anything difficult is probably worth doing because that means you're on the right path.
What's training costs typically in your facility? Like if I wanted to bring my son into your facility, I want to make him a better wrestler, type thing, and an athlete. What would some sort of investment? What would that run somebody?
So
to the average.
It's crazy because we do we take the detail-oriented aspect. We have our initial assessment cost. That's a one-time fee, but that's also like a cost that helps us take care of the facility, put back in. But typically training sessions, they're 75 minutes. They run anywhere from typically $25 per session to our kind of top package, which is $40 a session. So it just kind of depends, man. We try and make it very affordable.
Damn, that's real affordable.
Yes, exactly. So it's
shoot, that's cheaper than damn eating lunch at Chick-fil-A.
Exactly.
Can you say it again?
I'm like, yeah. Say that one more time.
Is there a shower there too?
Got showers.
Oh man, now we're talking.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, clearly we have to profit and do well. Clearly we have families to take care of, but it's like,
I forbid you to ever charge as little as you are. I think you should be raising the price just based on the information that I've gathered from your facility and from you guys, and even talking to one of your clients. I mean, for sure. I mean, you really need to take a look because you are doing things differently.
Yeah.
There's a lot of personal training out there. Let's face it. There's a lot of personal trainers. People, you go out there, they'll train you and they'll design something for you, but they don't have the scientific approach, like the statistics and the numbers that you guys really, strive on that actually tell you what your body needs to get faster, to get stronger, to get quicker.
I think the biggest, problem in our industry is, the general public just not knowing the difference between, the awareness of it. And that's where our social media account comes into play. We do a lot of stuff where we're posting on, why you need to train differently, why every athlete doesn't need to do the same program, right? Why body types come into play. So just educating the population, because once they get in and they see the assessment, it is a slam dunk. They see it. They're like, wow, we can definitely, I see it. Like, we show them video, we show them comparisons, and they see it, and it's almost a guarantee they're going to sign up and train with us because they understand the value. Like, hey, I can pay a couple more dollars, but I'm guaranteed results at this point. It's not, he might give me results, with his stopwatch out there in the parking lot.
Right.
But we're using laser timing systems, right? Everything high tech to make sure we're getting accurate before and after testing. Worked in the research lab. I'm very big on, we got to get true data and true numbers. Like, the numbers need to match, and we need to be able to show them to the client. Because if you're not showing the numbers, how do you know you're getting better?
No, numbers are key.
Realistic numbers too.
Yeah, realistic.
So everything we test is, you're going to get the same testing if you're going to go to the NFL Combine, MLB Combine. Everything's laser. It's down to the science of it. The Vertimax, whatever it is, because there's so many kids that come into our facility saying, "Oh no, I ran a 4.6 or in a 4.5."
Right.
And then, you kind of
Grandpa's
got
watch out there.
Yeah.
Right?
I got it on my cell phone.
I think I ran a 4.4 once too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I timed it myself while I was running.
So,
I swear I counted in my head. I only went 10 yards, but it was a 4.4.
Yeah, that was the humbling process, right? Like, I don't want a kid leaving our facility, go to a showcase or a combine, and not know what they're going to run.
Yeah.
If I give them, just to show them results, if I say, hey, you've taken 5/10 off your 40, then they go to a combine and run 5/10 slower than what we told them, how does that look on us? And you see it all the time.
Then you lose the credibility factor.
So it's like...
So let's talk about that real quick, because it brings up an interesting thing. Do you ever interview the client and actually refuse them in your facility?
So we have different levels. You're talking about coaches. Like, we do have.
I'm talking about coach. I'm talking about a kid. Mom or dad wants little Johnny to come in because they want them to be the next, America's pro athlete, and they want to make little Johnny something that little Johnny may or may not ever be able to become.
I would say we turn him down. I'd say,
but in a situation where Johnny comes in, but Johnny's not really motivated.
Yeah.
Right.
Johnny's not really excited. Like, it's not really where Johnny wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. That type of person. Or do you just kind of still got to go through the motions because mommy and daddy paid for them? Because I see a lot of that today, man.
Yeah.
I see a lot of parents out there pushing their kids into doing things that the kid don't really want to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I've seen kids that are 6 foot, you know, and they're 14 years old, and they're like, hey, you're going to play basketball. Well, I don't really want to play basketball, mom and dad, but you're made for basketball because you're tall.
Yeah.
You know, type of thing. So they send you to camp, but unfortunately, you never really get out of that. I mean, with your high level of athletes and everything around, I would imagine you got to be pretty damn committed, you know, to doing what you're doing.
You do. So, I mean, with our classes, we definitely have tiers of classes, and that's what I meant about the coaches. Like, some of our coaches, they're more on the youth scene. They're going to take your beginners. They're going to start you. And that's why it's so important to create a fun environment, because a lot of the time, some of these kids, they're not going to be in the MLB. They're not going to be in the UFC. They're not going to be in the NFL. But they create friends, and then they come in, and then they're really cutting up with their buddies while training. And, yeah, they're getting better. But that's kind of what gets them there is the fun. So we haven't really had to fire anybody. Most of the time, if it's not the right fit, you'll find out pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know,
I would say the big thing is just the environment, you know, almost can breed some success for us in that sense. Like, you get in there and you're working with high-level guys and you see their work ethic, right? Or you do make a friend in there and he's busting his butt over there. Like, you almost get caught up in the environment and it makes you want to work hard, right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people are products of their environment. If you go in there and
100%,
the energy's low, nobody's working hard, right?
agree
But if
with
the
that.
energy's high, people are pushing it, you know, you're there, you might as well try and get better. So,
Right.
you know, I wish I could say every kid comes in there and gives 110 every time, right? Not realistic. But I would say for the majority of our guys, like, they're committed and they're serious, you know. Like, you know, we have great kids. We love our athletes. You know, a lot of them like little brothers to me, almost to a fault.
Right.
So it's like,
Well, you know, obviously I had trainers, obviously, and, you know, up and down, right? Different types of trainers, different types of things. But the one thing is, as an athlete, you know, you have good days and bad days too.
Yeah.
You know, and you're sitting there like, I'm giving you my best. My best might not be my best overall, but it's my best today.
Yeah.
You know, type of thing. And you have to think about that from an angle with different types and levels of athletes.
Oh, for sure.
You know, with that. And that's the one piece I think that people don't really gravitate to or understand.
yeah, and
you know,
that is something we do gravitate towards. So our big thing is our programs are dynamic and fluid, meaning if you come in and you're just coming off sickness or you just had a game till 1 a.m, you're not going to get a high intensity bout that day. We will change your program. You will get more of a movement-based recovery type day, right? Like, because you're not going to get anything out of that session. You come in toast and we're trying to hit sprint work and power cleans. It's like, good luck. I guarantee his numbers are going to be down. Why even try and force it? Let's take a recovery day, build that in, right? Because it's not how hard you train, it's how hard you can recover, right? And, you know,
God, I agree with that. You know, I had that conversation even with Finney. I was, you know, talking about recovery and how important it is.
It is.
People spend so much time in working on getting faster or stronger or bigger, but forgetting about the healing process. I mean, you're tearing down tissues.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You're tearing down your body, and, you know, you have to repair it as well.
yeah, and that's something even with Finney, you know, we got him a whoop strap to where I can look at his HRV, I can look at his recovery score, I can look at his strain from training, right? So I got
Shit, I thought a whoop strap was something you whooped his ass with. What is a whoop strap?
Let's pull out the whoop.
What's that stand for?
Yeah, I don't know what it
Are you
stands
pulling
for,
out
but-
like, you know, straps? You're whooping?
But, you know, just getting that information so I can see it. Like, if he comes in and he has a really low recovery score, HRV's down, inconsistent, we're not training hard that day. I don't care what we had planned. He's not going to get anything out of it.
So you make those adjustments based on
for
that right
sure.
away.
Yes.
That's interesting, man.
Yes.
That's really a cool feature, man.
Yeah.
I bet you,
It's a big reason too why our retention rates, even in season, are high.
Yeah.
Just because we understand that the stressors of being in season compared to off season are a lot different. So our programming is going to change with that athlete. So a lot more arm care, recovery movements, recovery lifts, recovery cardio. That Gannon does a really good job. I mean, that is one thing Gannon is constantly doing, is just digging deep into the research and seeing who's doing at the highest level and either pushing to be that or get past that. And, you know, he's got a lot of really good mentors in that area that are super smart.
Way smarter than me.
Yeah. You know, that's one thing.
Well, I guess that's got to be kind of cool though, because you don't have to really be that muscle head that's has a six pack to actually be one of your trainers, because it's scientific. It's based on numbers
For sure.
and different material that you have.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, based on this and this, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
And that's the thing too, being an ex-offensive lineman, almost being 300 pounds, I'm never going to have a six-pack abs.
You were 300 pounds?
Oh, 297 at the heaviest, baby.
Wow,
Yes, sir.
man, damn.
5'11", 297. That's a
Unit.
tank.
Yeah, I bet it was.
So, with that side, it's like, I'm never going to have six-pack abs, right? What we definitely pride ourselves on, we play all kind of sports with our kids. We play pickleball with them, spike ball. Like, we just do athletic stuff. And, like, we move really well for our size. That's what we pride ourselves on. So, you get a lot of guys who are jacked, muscled up guys, but couldn't catch a ball if you threw it at his face, right? Or he couldn't make a cut at a high speed to save his life. So it's like, we're performance based, and aesthetics and performance aren't necessarily the same thing. I mean, Daniel Cormier winning the light heavyweight championship. Explain that one to me. He doesn't have six-pack abs.
Yeah. Right.
But he's a performer, very strong, very conditioned. So it's like, we try and explain that to people. Like, you can always better your body composition. Doesn't necessarily always mean performance is going to go up. So we look at both sides of it for sure.
What's it like having, high professional athletes come in there? I mean, do they get hounded with other kids and people wanting to get autographs or pictures and stuff? Or do they have the ability of, hey, man, we're here for, we're going to let this person train. This is what he's here for, or she's here for that matter. How does that work in your facility?
So a lot of our pro guys are super cool, just down to earth dudes as it is, and we've been super blessed with that. I mean, there are kids that are like, oh my gosh, he trains here. You think he would sign this? They're not like in their face waiting at the door for him. But I mean, we do separate our pro guys from everybody else, just because not only because of that reason, but just because it's so specific and intensive because what they're trying to accomplish. There can't be any distraction. So our pro guys definitely get that. Not coddled, but definitely they're in their own spot. You're a pro. Like, you got to train.
So you know what? I just got a business idea for you guys.
Yeah.
Just thought about this. I don't know if this will work.
Come on.
But shoot, I just thinking about it. If I was a pro guy and I didn't want to get hassled, I want to go in there. What about if you just offered like to all staff, you tell your pro guy part of the after 3 months that you're gonna have a pro day where the people that are members there can get autographs. You know what I'm saying? And make that part of their membership. Like, listen, just once a year we want to do a pro day. And would you guys, sign for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, just to the members, not to anybody outside of the members. Just your members only. Be kind of
Almost
cool,
like a
right?
meet and greet kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
just members only, right? A little, I have some pizza and some wings and stuff, and so, but it might be kind of cool.
Yeah,
might be worth the for that kid that says, hey, can I get some? Hey, do me a favor, wait till the our pro day, type thing, and or put that in your agreement so that everybody knows. So that they're not being distracted or they're not being, out there. Because I'm sure that happens. But it's cool that they're cool. Because that's how I would be. I mean, I want
they're super cool about it.
Talk to kids.
We haven't had a single guy, and like I said, it's a blessing. We haven't had a single guy come in with this I'm above you attitude. We just haven't had it, which is fantastic. It's like we're all human here. Like, we're all just trying to get better. Like, and I think it's the atmosphere we set.
That's
we played at high levels. Played. Von Bell was a guy that I played high school ball with, good friends, and we've always been around high caliber athletes. So it's like it's our friends to us. So like we're not like like we have a pro guy here, freaking out or nothing. So it's just a good environment, and everybody really gets along well.
That's good. Where do you see the future going, John? Like with your facility and everything.
Yeah, so we talked about.
You're growing so fast. I mean, what do you?
Considering how long we've been into it, if you would have asked us, 3 years ago, if we thought we'd be sitting here even talking about it, definitely not the case. But going forward, I mean, I think I'm the oldest employee. I'm 30 years old. Lord willing, health stays the same. Me and Gannon, almost to a fault, have a problem with contentness. Like, you'd love to just chill and be like, oh, okay, like, I'm happy where I'm at, but we're just not in our DNA like that. So I think where we can really grow is we're trying to bring something to Chattanooga in that area where basically people are wanting to come see us as far as these pro guys nationally wide. So putting together a program and a system that's almost a turnkey program in the fact of, like, you're going to get your nutrition, you're going to get your physical therapy, you're going to get your performance training, all in-house with high-level guys. And then, okay, you can't stay here for the whole off season, this is what we're going to do. We're going to set you up for 2 weeks, a month. You're going to stay in Chattanooga. You're going to train with us. You're going to learn the movements. You're going to get with your specific coach for your specific sport. And then we're going to train you remotely. That's a big thing in our industry now with technology and how it's going. We start online. So that's actually how we started.
Yeah.
So
That's bizarre. That's wild.
It
huh?
is,
Yeah.
Look, it's just such a great story. I mean, the fact that you started this online and you went through 3 facilities since.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit.
This industry is always growing. If you think you know everything, you're going to get left behind, and that's both business and the performance side. So just growing, talking to people a lot smarter than us. I think we can definitely get there. We started on the baseball side, our Peak Kinetic pitching with another pro guy, Cole Wilcox. He's top 15 prospect in the Tampa Bay Rays organization. He's another local guy. And he's kind of seen what it looks like for that remote model to work. So what we're doing at this time is just learning and investing in ways to really make our product as high caliber as anybody in the nation. And I think we can get there. I mean, a lot of our pro guys, I'm not going to mention any names or nothing, but they go to these big places where you're going to pay $10,000, $15,000 for your off season or whatever it is. And they spend one session or go through the assessment process. And it was like, nobody ever told me that.
Right.
Like, nobody ever mentioned that. I had no idea about that. And then they're like, that makes a lot of sense because I experienced XYZ in season. And so that makes a lot of sense. So I think,
It's so weird. Statistics show the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, just take a Moneyball, the movie. You know what I'm saying? When people
exactly.
look at statistics and, you can figure out an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
The same goes with the body and the athletes.
Yeah.
You mentioned something interesting to me. You said, pitching. So you have a pitching thing there. Can you make a pitcher faster? Can you make them throw faster?
Yes.
You
So
know?
that's the name of the game for us, man. Is we get guys in, and that's where the assessment comes in. If they're restricted in their mobility, they're selling themselves short, right? I see guys all the time, very weight room strong. Same idea with running fast. Like, you can be weight room strong and not necessarily be very fast. Mm-hmm. I witnessed that one firsthand for a hot minute. So that's not always the case. So you need the mobility to express that strength and that power, right? If you're just expressing it straight up and down in the sagittal plane with a barbell, it's not the same as rotating down, right? Rotating down the mound, throwing a baseball 95 miles per hour. It's just not the same. It's two different things, right? You need different movement capabilities to do each. So that's what we do, man. That is the name of the game for us. We get most kids, if they stay in consistently, we'll get a 4 to 6 mile per hour jump.
Wow.
And I mean, our biggest, craziest case was we had a kid, Olin Johnson, and this is where like the investment aspect comes in. I mean, it literally changed his career path. He was a North Carolina commit, already a good pitcher, right? Comes in 6'6", 185, throwing 90, right? But 6'6", 185, I'm like, man, that's a frame.
String bean.
Right.
Gets up to 210, 215 and jumps from 90 to 97. And the only thing he did different was train with us on the offseason.
Right.
So it's like we maintain his natural rotational tendencies and put on 25 pounds of good strength, got him stronger through those planes of motion. And then he stayed healthy doing it. A big thing you see when you do jump really fast in velo, a lot of kids get injured in the process. And, knock on wood, like we've been pretty, very good at helping kids throw harder, but also staying healthy while doing it. So it's been really cool to, kind of learn the science of that side because we played baseball growing up, but, we were football guys. I mean, if I would hear myself talk now when I was in high school, I'd be like, oh, that's sissy over there. He can't even squat 500 anymore, I'd be like, so it's just changed so much. So it's been cool.
Well, it's funny because that's it, right? When you go to a gym, everybody's looking, what can you bench? What can you put up? What can you squat? What can you hang clean?
And that's what's crazy, Coach B, is we don't even look at that side. I look at performance numbers. How many tenths have we taken off your 10-yard split? What miles per hour are you hitting on the assault runner? How high are we jumping? How fast do we change direction? We don't even do testing on the strength portion. We do a power output jump test, and we do have numbers we want people to hit, but first day you come in, it's not like, let's see what your 1 rep back squat is. Like, I don't care. Because I know at the end of the day, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a better athlete on the field.
Yeah.
It's interesting, man. I find it, it's really a cool thing.
Yeah.
Now, the question, what's been the biggest challenge? Obviously you've had some great success, but there's had to been a few challenges along the way. What would you say your biggest challenges, John?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hiring. Hiring's been tough to find the right people, but once you get them, like, You got the right person. I would say, a lot of growth. Sometimes it can be, like you said, a little overwhelming. I mean, if this doesn't work out, I'm just going to start a business building gyms or rebuilding
We make that
gyms,
joke quite a bit.
because I've we do a lot of the construction ourselves. I mean, me and Gannon started this, and that's what we tell people all the time. Like, we started this. It's me and Gannon. Like, that's who we.
How much money did you bootstrap together?
$10,000.
$10,000 bootstrapped together. You left your job.
Yeah.
Obviously, you were still working. But you moved, packed up your wife, and moved.
Yeah.
What was that conversation like to your wife? How'd that one go? Hey, honey, we're.
Yeah, you've met
I'm
me.
quit.
I got an amazing wife. I really do. But yeah, that conversation, I sit down. I'm like, Amanda, like John and I are at the point where we're making money online to cover the initial cost of what we need to do and want to do. So we already had money coming in. She was a travel nurse. We were living in an apartment, so we didn't really have anything necessarily tying us down. We don't have any kids. So having that conversation, I was like, man, I'm really feeling called to do it. I prayed about it. We talked. I mean, I remember sitting in the Milton locker room vivid, clear as day.
Yep.
Me and you talking, and I'm like, Coach B, like, you started your business, you took the leap, like, you were like, regret it, you glad you did it. I remember that conversation.
Right.
And I remember telling John, I'm like, hey man, like, we can do
You
this.
only regret it if you don't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
That would definitely be the
I was
case.
26, 27 years old at the time, and I was just like, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? So I just told Amanda, and like I said, we prayed about it. We talked about it a lot. I showed her the numbers. Like, we have clearly, it's a
You always got to sell the wife.
Yeah.
Before you
Of
sell
course.
anybody, you got to sell
Yeah.
the wife.
Of course.
calculated
of course.
risk. And at first our wife's almost, because it was something fun for us at first, and it wasn't like this super serious thing. They didn't even know we were doing it half the time.
Yeah.
Like, we'd talk about it all the time, like we still do.
Right.
Him and I talk on the phone religiously, but when I told him, man, I want to quit my job for it, it was a little bit, and of course you have your doubters. I mean, my grandparents, you're a teacher, that's the best job.
Yeah.
Like every
your
grand,
401k.
So it's kind of funny, because I was in a similar situation. When I was in New York, I was actually a school teacher too. So I was a school teacher for a couple of years, and kind of and I decided I wanted more. I was rookie of the year the first year, teacher year second year, and I was like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Type of thing. Money wise wasn't really where I wanted more. I just wanted more opportunity, and I'll never forget because I went to my grandmother. She was the only one, because I had the same flack. Your parents, your family.
Yeah.
Oh, don't do it. You got a secure job. You got this. You're the hometown here. Everything's awesome. But I wasn't fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I went to my grandma and said, Grandma, I got an opportunity to move to Atlanta. I said, and do something really cool and start something different and kind of work for myself. And I said, what should I do? And her exact words to her, she said, she used to call me Fully, because she couldn't really say Phil or Philly. So she'd call me Fully.
Yeah.
She says, Fully, take a chance, Columbus did, and I'll tell you, that statement has stuck with me forever. You know what I mean? And she's right. God bless her for telling me that and giving me that strength. But that's what it was. She was like, Columbus took a chance. Why can't you?
Yeah.
We would have never found the world, type of thing. So, you did it, man. You did it. And I'm excited about it. And that's why, obviously you're here today, because not only are you doing it, but you're doing it really well.
Yeah.
And, you do have a product that's much different than what most people have today when they go to a gym or go to a facility or go to work out or have a trainer. They're getting statistics. You're doing electronical. You're doing statistics that actually matter based on their, their sport, which is huge because if I'm in baseball season, and you get a lot of multiple athletes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a kid could play basketball and play football too.
For sure.
You're not going to give him the same workout during football season as you are during basketball season.
Yeah.
He might need to get his vertical jump a little bit higher versus football. He might need to be a little bit faster, type of thing. So, I'm sure you have to make those adjustments too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's always learning, man. Like I said, John said earlier, I got mentors that I get to talk with. I got a group message that most people would think we were speaking a different language, and that's my buddy K Jones, Austin Park, shout out boys. But yeah, those guys have been so they've influenced me so much in my programming. And if I get stuck, I don't have all the answers, right? Every model's incomplete, but let's try and make the best decisions and keep working and try and come up with a product that's best going to, give us the results we're looking for. And that's all we've done. And, we've done a good job showing that. We use the social media platform a lot to show our results, because kids want to see them.
It's nice. It's easy today.
It's so easy. Yeah.
Because it's at your fingertips to
It
be
is.
able to do that.
It's like you just got to be disciplined and take the time. I tell John, He's really good at making edits. That's his strong suit.
Yeah.
Very
He gives me a
artistic.
hard
I didn't
time.
even know he was. You know,
There you go.
Same bedroom with him for 20 years, and he's very artistic over there.
Okay.
So
Well, and you were saying, to go with that, social media is great, but you also have to do a lot of stuff that's still in person. Like, we still, the good thing we have for us is like, yeah, we have the social media, but we're also going to go out and talk in front of team, meet coaches, meet agents, athletes. We still believe in a firm handshake. We still think that's the best way to do business.
God bless
Social
you. I'm
media.
the same way, man. I think it's that personal touch is missed.
Yeah.
With so much AI going on today and where the world's going, and I tell people this all the time. AI is taking away jobs. It's gonna continue, but the plumber and the AC guy, they're gonna be the high dollar people because an AI robot's not gonna do that position, type of thing. So it's going to be worth something even more.
Well, it's one of those things. If you think you're going to beat us behind a computer typing the whole time, it's not going to happen. Right. Like, that's one thing with me and Gannon that we say all the time. Well, what happens if a shitty thing happens? Well, okay, we're going to go forward. We're going to pivot. We're going to go do something else. Like, we're too deep in it now and have spent so much time into it and money and effort and, put kind of family time to the side, which is always hard. And thank God for our wives and family for putting up with it. But we've gone too far to just let this one obstacle that, in the grand scheme of things, is probably not even that big, stop us from going to where we want to go. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, we still believe use the modern technology and the tools we have to get awareness, grow the business. But ultimately, like I said, me and Gannon started this, and that's who's going to kind of run this and lead us and get us where we need to be, is by doing it together and doing it almost old school kind of fashion way.
Yeah, and that's the thing, people ask us all the time, like, another gym location, are y'all going to do another gym? Y'all going to do another gym? And it's like, the thought's always nice, but it's the personal aspect of our facility that is why we've had our success. Like John said, we go to so many of our athletes' games. Mine and my wife's date night, we're going to watch the boys play. Like, she loves it too, so it's great. Like, we go out there, chili cheese nachos. That's the trade off, right?
Well, we just came back from Phoenix last weekend because we had four guys that were playing in the Arizona Fall League. We went out and watched them play. Obviously Phoenix is a nice area, love it there, but still, I mean, we're all, we go to every, outside of the last fight of this contender series, Finney's fights, like, that was the first.
That's first
one.
one.
You support the athletes back,
1,000%,
which is key and stuff because you become family. It does become your family because let's be honest, where you spend most of your time,
1,000%,
at work, right? And especially when you guys
all my
are
friends
grinding.
are athletes. That's just the way it is. Like, all my friends are athletes.
All right.
Yeah. So it's been cool. I mean, we support our guys. Like, those are our guys. There was a parent last year at one of the baseball teams in the area just talking like, man, do you come to every game? And I'm like, if I can, I'm going to be there. It's just because you work so hard, you pour so much time. I want to see the product on the field. Yeah. Right. And it's amazing to go Archer. We got some talented players.
Well, that's your trophy, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like your ESPY.
Yeah.
When you get to actually watch, your product actually perform well.
Yeah.
And you can also do the flip side of it. Say, oh, shoot, I got to fix that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that didn't look right, type of thing.
Oh, nervous mama over here.
I was about to say.
When he's watching these kids, I'm like, Gannon, chill out. It was one pitch.
Here's the thing.
One, play.
I'm a competitor. Like,
not you. Come on, guy.
I want to win. And it was funny. Cade Fisher. So Cade Fisher, when we first he was our very first client in Chattanooga. He's pitching for the University of Florida now.
Okay.
So he was a freshman last year, and they had a big run. They made it all the way to the College World Series.
Right.
That's championship.
The championship. And Cade gets called in. No warm up. No nothing. It was a weird scenario. And bases are loaded, and I'm over here freaking out. And Amanda's like, Gannon, will you stop? I'm like, Amanda, you don't get the stakes here. Like, these are big stakes.
Right.
And it's like, that's like, Cade's that's our first client in Chattanooga. That's my dude. Like, that's our guy. And I was just, like John said, nervous mother over there. I'm like, man, so.
Did Cade come through?
Oh, he came through.
Attaboy, Cade. Attaboy, Cade.
I showed ice cold veins over there. So it was cool. So.
That's awesome. That's good. And that's got to feel good to know that you had something to do with that and the performance. Do you ever get in a point where, there's some people that that you could make better, but they just can't afford to do more?
Yeah, so that is something that we're really trying to put our heads together on and find a way. Because once again, we come from a family of 6. Dad worked construction, mom was a clerk. Like, we couldn't, I think our parents would have found a way to make a sacrifice to do it,
Sure.
But it's tough when you do run a business because, like, you got to pay the bills,
That's
right?
right.
You got to pay your coaches, and we put out a high product, and, we put out the best product, we think. So it's like making sure, like, that's accounted for and they're paying for what they're getting is always what we think about. But we're definitely trying to work on something, getting in with like a,
like a nonprofit or something.
Yeah, something
maybe like a scholarship or something where we can. Because the sad part is there's a lot of great kids and a lot of great potential that goes untapped, just because they don't have the resources or the connections to actually do the stuff these other people are doing.
Or even just somebody pouring into them, believing in them.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that you coached for years.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how far that can go in a kid and their confidence. You take the
100%.
time and you actually pour into them, it can change a kid's whole entire, not just off sports, but it can change their life as far as confidence and being successful,
Listen, we all know sports ends.
Yeah, sports
Right.
is going to
Life
end sometime,
doesn't.
for sure.
You know what I mean? It's just and I say everything has an expiration date.
Yeah.
We just don't know when it's going to expire, but sports definitely has an expiration date. You're going to get to a point where you can't do it no more. If you're making a living off it, or if you're not making a living off it, there's going to be changes. But life, you have to deal with every single day.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate
And
part.
that's
So if you can make an
something-
impression on that, then
Yes.
you did
I tell
well.
Gannon all the time, we talk about it, it's like there's a good chance, especially these high school kids and these college kids, that we see these athletes and these young men and women more than their actual parents do.
By the end of it.
Yeah. So what kind of role model are we setting ourselves? What are we doing for these kids outside of just making them jump higher, run faster? Like, is there something they're taking more with them, more than just sports? Like you were saying, it's going to end eventually no matter how old you are. So that's what's really going to last. It's kind of the imprint you put on them as a man, as a woman, as a person. Like, if they just pick up one thing from that, and obviously we want them faster, stronger, whatever, then I think that's what helps is when, parents come up to you and is like, oh, so-and-so just loves coming here. Like, he loves being with Coach Gannon and everything. Like that's, I think any coach, whether it's, sports team, performance, like that really makes all the hard work kind of worth it,
Sure.
without sounding too corny.
No, but let me ask you this: what happens when Gannon gets sick? What happens when Gannon,
We have that.
what do you do then?
Yeah. So once again, from my side, it's making sure the next guy up's ready to go. It's like anything in sports. Next man mentality, like I said, Cody Thomas, can't brag enough on him, honestly. The guys love him, great attitude, great mentality. We're going to do whatever we got to do to keep him around. We've told him from the get. He was in on this. He was training online with us. That's how he met us. He started training online with us. So he was one of our first online athletes. And he loved the programming, and it changed his whole thought process on it. And then he
Let's
said,
talk about online real quick. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm curious. I mean, obviously I know you did it, so I kind of know your answers. But I'm just, are you a big believer that you can get things done online, versus, face to face?
I'll say this, and this is true and tried. It depends on the athlete at hand. If the athlete is, I've had kids start online with me and they're not driven, they don't log, they don't communicate with me, they don't do well. I've had athletes though that are, all-American kids, log everything, message me, talk with me, fantastic results. So it really depends on the athlete at hand. If your kid struggles to be disciplined and pay attention and focus and actually will put in the work that he needs to, probably not for him. He probably needs to go somewhere where they're going to be holding him accountable, right?
Right.
But if you have a guy like even our pro guys, we had John Rhodes last year who he trained with us some in Chattanooga, then he went to Knoxville, then he went down to South Alabama, then he went out to Phoenix and trained with us the whole time. Logged everything, posted results, had a heck of a year. He was one of the guys out in Arizona Fall League. So it really just depends on the athlete and the person at hand. If you're disciplined and you can show up and you can log and you can communicate well, it's great.
How do you motivate them people?
That's where it kind of comes on them, right? I mean,
I didn't know if you did any virtual with them at all and stuff.
So we do the assessment. We talk numbers. Clearly I'm encouraging when we do speak. We check in typically once a week with our online clients.
Okay, so you do talk to them.
Yeah, we do talk. Yeah,
You got a communication
yeah.
line.
And that's what's cool about the app. Everything's ran through that. I can message them, talk to them, whatever I need to do on that side. And, you can send emojis. I'll send them the rock, hitting some flex, a little motivation. So it just depends. But, yeah, the kids, it just depends on the athlete at hand.
Yeah. What do you like the most about what you've done so far, John?
I would say that, we've done it together. We kind of have, like I said, bootstrapped it together. That's something me and Gannon have always, I won't say always, about middle school, high school, we got very close, and we've been able to make this idea, this dream or whatever it is, kind of start happening. And it's definitely not where we want to be long term, but we've definitely have started something. The relationships are great and everything, but the thing I'm the most proud of is that, we pretty much started from nothing. I mean, like you said, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. We have no reason to necessarily be where we're at outside of just grit, working together, and just being resilient.
Well, that's not true. You got the want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you wanted this. This is something to dream. Like I said, Gannon talking about this and you guys having these numerous conversations over and over again.
Yeah.
You actually acted on it to make it happen. And that's really where the difference between those that do and those that don't.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, I wouldn't, I wouldn't say that you didn't do anything and you don't deserve where you are.
Right.
You 100% deserve where you are,
Yeah.
and probably a lot more to be had because of the fact that you did act on it. I always tell people the hardest thing about anything is showing up.
It is.
Showing up, getting there, and actually putting that first thing, making that commitment to do it. You made a commitment, your brother made a commitment, and together, look at you. Right now, you guys are killing it. And obviously, I know over the rainbow you have bigger ideas and bigger thoughts, and it's just putting them together and being able to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And stuff, so
Yeah, I would say, for me, what I enjoy the most, I'm so relationship driven. I love the relationships. I do. Like, getting the results for the kids, I've been doing it, about 8 to 10 years at this point. Getting the results, if a kid shows up and sleeps halfway decent, eats halfway decent, I know we're going to get them good results. I'm about positive on that. But the relationship side, like you were talking earlier, like creating good young men, especially in a time when like the man is being frowned upon and woman, right? Creating both. So it's like create good men and women. It's like, especially in a time when it's like doing the right thing. A lot of people don't think about that. They don't think about the moral aspect. It's like, how do we pour into these athletes and teach them, hey, like, you got to show up on time. You got to be committed to something. You got to stay disciplined, right? And like I said, it's just one of those things for me where it's like, I like that. I like trying to set a standard and help these guys meet the standard because I know we're pouring into them, and that's what I love about our staff. Cole Wilcox is a great Christian guy. Maddox, great Christian guy. Cody, great Christian guy, right? Casey, great Christian woman. Like, I like what we have there. I know no one's trying to lead these kids to a bad path. We want the best interest, and not just on the field, but moral aspect as well. So I like that the most. I mean, like I said, that part's just fun for me.
Yeah.
You get results time and time again. You don't get numb to them. Clearly, you're happy you got results, but at the end of the day, like you said, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm not like, man, I'm glad I took 2/10 off that kid's 40.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not it for me. So.
What's easy? Who's easier to train? Is men or women easier to train?
Man, that is a great question. It just depends on the athlete, man. I have had some females come in that will just get after it, right? Like, whatever you ask them, I'm going 110%, right? Then I've had some, females that are like, oh, I don't really want to be here. My dad's forcing me to be here. And same on both sides. So it really just depends.
Really?
I would say at younger ages, definitely the females are easier to work with.
Yeah.
Their focus is just better, They just.
I had
pick
this
up on it
conversation. I had this
quicker.
conversation on one of my pods because, obviously I own a women's professional football team as well, and people used to always ask me that question. Is it easier to coach because I coach men and obviously women too. And I was just like, well, women are like sponges.
Yeah.
They didn't have any bad habits and they want to be there. They want to learn.
Yeah.
So I got to imagine if they're making that commitment to, kinetic, performance to get better.
Yeah.
They're gonna be a sponge.
Yeah.
Where guys, sometimes we let our egos get in front of us, you know what I mean, and we get in our attitudes, and we are, testosterone gets changed, and it just changes things.
Yeah.
Where do you see, yourself again in 10 years from now? Where are you gonna be? Where's Peak Kinetic gonna be?
Yeah. Oh man.
As we wrap
Good
this
years.
up.
John's our dreamer over here. I'm a day-to-day guy. I just try and do the right things on that day that I need to get done. But clearly having the thoughts of the future. I would, like John said, I would love to be a destination location. People fly in to work with us. Like, we have such a good product. They want to make the trip to get assessed. And, you know, if they're a committed athlete, they can take that program with them wherever they need to go back to, right?
Would you think like a facility, have a hotel stay, 30-day, 60-day program type thing?
So,
kind of like, back like the Biggest Loser used to have.
Yeah.
Where you actually go to a facility in a place for 30, 60 days to get yourself on a program where you can get faster, stronger, quicker.
We're sort of in like a mini process of that now with our combine prep coming up. So we saw some really good results for our local college guys and some other guys that came in that trained with us combine prep wise. So a big thing about that is they're not just looking like, okay, well, how fast can you make me? What have you done? They're also looking like, all right, well, I must be staying here for 8 to 12 weeks. Like, where am I going to stay? What am I going to be eating? You know, what are you going to give me on that end? Where's my recovery going to be? So in 10 years, you know, if you just go off of where we're at now, you know, I think that's kind of the next step is to have almost a performance mecca in the fact of like, we're going to have everything in-house. Once you step through the door, you're not really going to have to leave. They have fighter houses, you know? So either whether it's us owning real estate on, you know, different locations away from the facility or just in-house, depending on where it goes, have them staying there, you know, we can rent that out. You know, Airbnb could or couldn't be a thing by then. Even when our athletes aren't there, use that to rent out. But like I said, a destination to where it's like, I'm going to Peak because I know I'm going to get the best results and I'm going to have a good time doing it.
It's awesome.
And that is the thing. The good time doing it's important. Like I said, I mean, yesterday for recovery day, we went and played 18 with our pro baseball group. Like we have fun. It gives you, because the big thing is people don't realize in the off season with pro athletes, like it can be boring.
Right.
Like you might not know people, you might not want to get out in big crowds, but if you got a close knit group that you can get together with and go play pickleball or go play golf, like we do a lot of that because it's fun. You know, all athletes typically like to compete, right? Like you get people in a competitive environment, people love that.
Right. Well, that's good. Well, listen, anything else that you want to tell the viewers right now? Last thing before we close, what would you like to say?
I would just say, you know, to our wives, to our family, to the people who have trusted us with either themselves or their kids, you know, we just appreciate you. You know, everything we do, we're trying to make our product better. We're putting it back into the business, back in the facility. The coaches, you know, we want to be able to bring Chattanooga, the Southeast, whatever you want to call it, something that really hasn't been done yet. So just we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, the gratitude to the people who have trusted us early on. And like John said, without our family, it wouldn't be possible, you know. So just the gratitude and just, you know, even the coaches that poured into us, you know, or guys that I coached with, you know, like I said, Coach B, you and I having those conversations, very inspiring on that side. And so, yeah, just the gratitude to everyone who's kind of helped us get here. You know, it's been incredible.
Yeah, well, you two have done a fantastic job. I'm so happy for both of us, and I'm excited about, you know, seeing this facility because that would be a cool thing for sure.
Yeah.
So, well, there you have it, folks. Another great episode of Wham Bam's podcast. And keep in mind, don't stop dreaming. Today, you just witnessed two gentlemen who walked away from jobs, who went on their dreams, and they actually made their dreams become a reality. You too can make your dreams come a reality. The first thing you have to do is actually physically want and take the first step. Don't be afraid. And remember, as I always say, if your life was a movie, would it be worth watching? And if the answer is no, then stop being ordinary and start being extraordinary. This is your boy Wham Bam, and as always, stay positive and keep testing negative. Till next Wednesday, I'm your boy Wham Bam, and I'm out. Brought to you by Cost Plus Processing, the leader in merchant processing. Call 1-855-391-9190 and find out why they are the future in merchant processing.